What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to a brand new video on the channel. And in today's video, I'm doing a Q&A. It's been, I think, literally years since I've done a Q&A on the channel. So I thought I could go ahead and do one, especially since a lot of people have said that I should just do one anyway. The reason why I'm doing this, by the way, right now, is the only way to find something interesting to add on top of the gameplay in the background, which is me aimlessly driving around, drifting mostly, because I wanted to get the achievement cards in Karak Street. So the gameplay in the background is what it is. It is me just drifting as much as I possibly can to get that distance up, because there is a card that you get to unlock in the game with an achievement by drifting a very long distance. Not just one slide, but I mean like just overall all of your slides added together, if that makes sense. So yeah, people were saying that the only way I can make that interesting is if I add a Q&A on top of it. So here it is. Here's a Q&A. Also, if you guys want to have any questions featured in any future Q&As, I will go ahead and tell you guys that the link down below in the description box. If you go and click the link tree, you can not only follow all my other channels and social medias and stuff like that, but the Discord link is also there. You can join my Discord, you can ask some questions, you can also hang out with everybody else that's in there sometimes. It's a bit dead right now because there's not really much going on in the gaming scene, but every now and then you can have a chat with people and stuff like that. So if you guys want to join the community, you can do that. Also, a huge shout out to the people that were telling me to do this idea, because I honestly just didn't really think about it at all. So thank you for making this video for me today. Basically, you guys asked the questions, you guys told me what idea to do, and I've done it with this video. So that's it's literally all just you guys that made me make this video. So I'm like, yeah, okay, why not? All right, we'll start off from the very top. I'll go through a bunch of these questions. There's some of them that are very stupid, usually by some guy called Lame in my Discord, so I'm not going to answer every single one of his stupid questions. Shout out to Lame, though. Literally, shout out to Lame. He's a certified snitch, I think, is what his tag is. Oh no, sorry, Snitch God, because he snitches out all the bots in the Discord, where they come in and try to like link loads of random bullshit. So he's there snitching it to the mods to get it removed. So shout out to Lame. Anyway, let's get started from the very top. How have you become attached to cars? Question by Nick, I'm guessing his name is. I don't want to say that phone name because that's a little weird. How have I become attached to cars? I think the noise, to be honest. The noise is what attracted me first to cars. When I was a kid, very, very young, I remember every time I used to see like a tractor, for example. I used to love tractors when I was a kid because they made loads of noise. They were big, you know, bold and whatever. They were just, I mean, there's nothing really like crazy interesting about tractors now, right, to me, but like back then it's like, oh my god, look at this, it's a big piece of machinery, it's so cool. And then obviously since then I just started liking cars. I like them more and more. The more I've learned about them, the more I like them, and that's pretty much how it came about. Like I've always loved cars ever since I was a kid. Like the toys that I had were, a lot of them were cars as well. Lots of little like Matchbox and Hot Wheels cars, and oh, what's the other brands that were back in the day? Some German stuff as well. Seiko? Is it Seiko? Seiko? S-E-I-K-O? No, that's not it. That's a watch brand, isn't it? No, there is definitely a brand that sounds similar to that. Anyway, regardless, that's how I became attached to cars. That's how I liked cars when I was young. We have another question here, which is from Raz. I'm just gonna call you Raz. Believe in God or no? If God, which God? Am I religious? No, I'm not religious. I don't really care for it. I've been brought up as an Orthodox Christian, and I just, since I became, you know, more conscious about what's going on and about religion and about everything else in the world, I kind of just moved away from it. I'm not a very religious person. I'm an atheist. That doesn't mean that I am disrespectful, or I guess I'm against people that believe in religion. I feel like everybody is entitled to believe in whatever they feel like it. I don't think that people should be able to, not be able to, but I don't think they should enforce their beliefs on other people. Like, I'm not gonna go around and like try, like in a specific video, for example, or if I go on social media or something like that, and I'd be like, God isn't real, don't believe in it. You know, I'm not gonna like try to convince people to believe things the way I want to believe them. Does that make sense? So like, just you do your own thing. If you want to believe in a God, it's all up to you. I don't. It's just my personal choice, and it's my personal opinion. If you think there's a God, and if you want to believe in said God, whatever, whoever it is, and follow the religion and the steps and all that sort of stuff, that is, feel free to do so. If it makes you feel better at the end of the day, then do your own thing. Believe in whoever you want to believe, as long as it's moral, if that makes sense. So if once this becomes a very extreme thing, then you've pushed it too far, and it's not a good thing. So I feel like all religions have it, where it's at a point where anything that's extreme is just bad. It doesn't matter what religion it is. It doesn't matter, even if you're an atheist. Like if you're an extremist, it's automatically bad, and it's all to do with religion. So I usually don't really like to talk about religion, politics, and stuff like that on the channel. So I guess this is probably the most that you guys will ever hear me talk about it. Next up, from Nightbreed, as a content creator, do you think it's better to come up with new trends, or do you think that it's better to follow the wave from others? Love your vids, by the way. Been subscribed since Need for Speed Underground 2 first playthrough. Holy shit, that is a long time ago. That is a very long time ago. Thank you for sticking around for such a long time. It's impossible to come up with new trends. That's not how it works. You cannot come up with a trend. You have to follow trends, or you have to follow something that people seem to enjoy, if that makes sense. So if for whatever reason Forza Horizon 5 was a trend at the time, you didn't see a lot of people jumping on it, right? Like, you can't come up with a trend. A trend is something that builds over time with people's interest, right? So if you create something that's original and it comes up to a point where it becomes really, really popular, you will have other people hopping onto that trend. But you cannot now go and I have an idea and I'm going to be like, oh, this idea is going to be the new trend, because you can't really do that, right? You can't really put this idea in people's heads that will force them to watch the video, or that will force them to create that sort of, or to follow that sort of content that you're creating. And it's impossible to come up with a trend because you don't know what's going to be trendy. You know what I mean? Original ideas will always, I think, trump the ones that follow instead. So I don't know. I feel like it's a mixed bag here, because sometimes hopping on a trend is also very, very beneficial in a lot of ways. First of all, it can make you build your own audience by hopping on a trend. It can make you it a lot easier to earn money if you hop on a trend and do it. So it's a very mixy type of vibe, but I feel like if you're just a trend hopper, people will realize that and they will stop watching your content unless you have some sort of a gimmick. So if you're hopping on trends, but you're, let's say, super, super good at this sort of game, let's say these, first-person shooters, for example, they always come out and then you try to play the games and stuff like that. But if you have your own little quirk to it, let's say you're really, really good at them, and people will end up watching you because you're really, really, really good. So you kind of have this little bit of a twist on some sort of content creation if you're hopping on new trends all the time, if that makes sense. So if you're jumping from... Tfue's a perfect example, right? Like, he used to play H1Z1, I think, back in the day, played PUBG, then he hopped and he played a bunch of Fortnite. So he went from game to game because of what game was trendy, but his deal was that he was also very, very good at the game. So that's how he had his own little, like, twist to the trends that were coming out. So again, super, super successful by hopping on trends, but if you have your own little twist on it, it'll make people stay more and watch your videos. Next up, from 99SX, do you like classic rock music? Dire Straits, Pink Floyd, AC/DC, ZZ Top? Yeah, I do. There's a lot of... I feel like this is a very subjective way of looking at it. That I think I have one of the best music tastes out there, because I listen to so many different types of genres and so much different type of music that it's weird for me to say what music I like when people ask me, oh, what music do you listen to? I listen to everything. And when I mean everything, I mean everything. If I go onto my liked songs on my Spotify, because the liked songs is where everything is mashed up. I also have playlists for different types of things, but it could go from something like, for example, Pink Floyd to Smoke Perp to Eminem, to then go over to a Bicep, to some Scooter, I go over to some System of a Down. Like, it's all just a mix and match. To Madonna from like 80s. I have a bunch of 80s music as well in my like songs, and I have a whole folder of them as well. So it's such a mixed bag of songs, and it's weird whenever I play my like songs, and it just goes from random stuff to random stuff. It's sick, but it's also good because I like all that sort of music, so it doesn't really make too much of a difference to me. But for other people, if they're like in the car with me or whatever, and it goes from something completely different to two completely different songs, they're like, what the hell's going on here, right? Because some people like listen to songs when they're like in the mood to listen to some songs, and I'm like that as well. But sometimes I'm just like, I don't care, I just want some good music in the background, and then I just play every song that comes on. So it's just weird. Next question comes from Dom. Vodka, whiskey, or rum? I have had whiskey once, I think, in my life. Rum, I drank quite a good bit of it. Vodka, I'm not a big vodka drinker, but if or when I was out, I would have had it. I haven't had alcohol in like 2 years. I'm just gonna say now. No reason whatsoever. I would go and I'd have a beer or whatever every now and then. It was nothing really crazy about that. I wouldn't really, even when I was like younger, maybe I would kind of ish go out and have a drink or something like that. But very, very rarely. And then it became to the point where I would only drink when it was like special occasions. So someone's birthday, holidays, out on like a trip or something like that, or out on a holiday or something like that, on vacation, I guess I should say. And what I meant by holidays earlier on is like I meant like Christmas or whatever, you know, stuff like that, or Easter. But if I was out on a holiday or something like that, I'd have a few drinks every now and then. So that was pretty much the extent of my drinking. I don't drink that often, or I didn't drink that often. And then 2 years ago, I guess, when I was on holiday, I had drinks. And then when I came back home, I was like, I'm just not going to be bothered drinking anymore. Like, it just doesn't do anything. Yes, I do like the taste of a really nice ice cold beer when it's in the middle of summer, you're out somewhere sunny, you're out somewhere on a beach or something like that, or you're at a restaurant or something like that, and you get a nice glass of beer. It's lovely. It just hits different. But again, I could just do the exact same thing, but instead of drinking a beer, I could drink like a Coke Zero. I could drink a glass of water. I know it's not the same thing, but it's just, I just stopped, you know, and I don't really regret stopping. I don't really have an addictive personality either, so like it's not like I stopped because I might get addicted or I might become an alcoholic or anything like that. I just stopped. That's literally it. There's nothing really extra to that story or anything crazy. I just kind of stopped. Next question or questions I will take from Lame, because this dude has asked me like 18 billion questions in here, but 2 questions here that I have from him that I want to kind of link together. He said, how often do you hang out with your mates from the second channel, GWK? Are they still around? I love the comedies from it, and it would be nice to have more of them for broader games. And then also lower down, he also said, besides racing games, what's a genre that always appeals to you? I'd assume battle royale, combat, multiplayer along there, but what else do you enjoy? So both of those I would have linked together because I still talk to, I still play, I still hang out with the GWK group and a bunch of other people as well, all the time, almost every single day. It's just not recorded, right? Like, I don't usually hop on and record. These guys kind of don't really care about creating content, right? So when we're hanging out or wherever, we're in Discord, we're playing games together and stuff like that, we're not constantly trying to go for clips or trying to go for content. We're just hanging out, just playing games, right? Talking shit, playing games, stuff like that. And it's always not car games. And I'm saying this like on purpose. It is never car games. I always like to play, right now, World of Warcraft with the new expansion that came out. We're playing a lot of that. Every now and then we'll hop on some Counter-Strike, some CS2. Randomly at some points, like a few weeks ago, I re-downloaded Battlefield 4, so I was playing a little bit of that. Sometimes we'll play some scary games and stuff like that. Usually when it's more quirky and weird games, I'll end up recording them. CS2 as well, sometimes I'll end up recording. So it's just kind of a mixed bag of stuff. I play a lot of different types of games, and pretty much apart from the video side of things, I play I don't play racing games. Like, unless I'm playing for a video, unless I'm working for our next video, unless I'm doing that, I don't really play racing games with all the other guys. We play a lot of different types of games, but never racing games. So it's just how it is. It's just how it always has been. I mean, we played racing games in the past before. Like, we played some F1 in the past, played some Forza actually in the past when it was like free weekend and stuff like that. We played The Crew in the past. I remember GTA, of course, played a lot of GTA. But it's never really like a main game that we hop on and play. It's usually either shooters or some World of Warcraft or stuff like that. It's just what everybody else really plays, to be honest. So, and then for the final question from Farzad, I guess is how you say your name. First of all, love from Iran. What have you studied in college, or what jobs have you had before becoming a content creator? This is an interesting one. I feel like I've mentioned this before, but I mean, obviously there's new people on the channel. I did study, I think it was IT and computing for the first year, which I didn't really like, and then I ended up changing and I went to a like part-time course, which was like an evening type course. So the second year I went and I started doing, it was like online like digital media and stuff like that, or something similar to that. It's like, I can't remember exactly what it was. I didn't like it. I hated college. Man, when I finished school, I didn't want to go back to more school. Okay, I feel like that's a thing that a lot of people end up being in, like, in my position. It's like, I'm finished school now, I want to go do something else. I want to go get a job and stuff like that instead of going back to more school. So, that's what I studied. I wasn't a big fan. I mean, the subjects were fine. I don't really care for them. Like, I still did, like, pretty alright in them. I mean, I learned a couple of things here and there, but, like, it was just so... I just didn't want to go in. I just didn't like going in just to do some crappy courses that I just had no interest in that much, you know what I mean? And I've always been, what I've realized after I finished school, that I've always been much more of a self-learner. So instead of going to college and stuff like that, if I find like a topic or something interesting, I would go online and research it so much until I've taught myself how to do it. For example, when it comes to editing videos, nothing with editing videos I have learned from college or school or anything like that. It was always through trying things myself, and same with just watching a YouTube video. I'd be like, oh, this is how you do this. Like when I'm there and I try to find out how to do like a certain edit or something like that, I always hop on the internet and be like, oh, okay, so this is how you do it. And then it clicks for me. Like I just learn it, right? It's just something like that. So when it's something that I have like a proper interest in, I feel like I probably could have done the same thing in college, but I feel like in college they like give you like a time scale, right? Here you go, here's this lecture, learn this, next week we'll test you on it to see if you learned it. That's not really how it works, right? You don't give me a time frame on how to do it. Like I want to learn it in my own time. The concept of something that I like, that I want to learn should come to me naturally. I don't want to be forced to learn something that I don't want to learn, if that makes sense. And it's the same with car mechanics, right? I've never been an engineer. I've never worked on cars way back in the day. I think I could possibly go in and I can take a car apart and put it back together, right? I could have some help from videos and stuff like that, but I've learned so much just because I have an interest in cars. I've learned so much just over the years from YouTube videos, from forums, from everything, from even just trying to work on my car in different ways. I've just learned so much because it's a topic that's interesting to me, but I've never taken a course on like mechanical engineering or anything like that. I've never done it. So I feel like it's just there, and I just learn it because I have an interest in it, if that makes sense. So I feel like I've kind of got off like the actual question, but that's kind of what I studied in college, and it definitely didn't really help too much when it came to creating content, or what I'm doing now, I guess. What jobs have I had for? A very weird array of jobs. I worked in a bunch of warehouses, doing a bunch of random manual labor stuff, packaging, loading up trucks and stuff like that. So this was like very early on when I was still looking for like a proper job that I wanted to have. I then got a job where I was making kind of alright money working as a security officer for a little while. And then at the same time, I was like, I don't like this anymore after a little while. Because I didn't like the people that I was working for. and I ended up getting a job at delivering pizzas. So that was one of them that I actually kept for quite a long time, and I ended up building, I guess, a really like cool, I guess, I had a few set of friends that came from that, and I feel like that was quite fun. I definitely enjoyed the people at the pizza place a lot more than pretty much anywhere else, because I kind of became attached to those people, right? And I remember when I started doing really well on YouTube, because at the time, by the way, when I was doing all these jobs, I was also still doing YouTube, and at the time, when I was working as security, I was working at the pizza place, and I was doing YouTube at the same time, so technically I had 3 jobs at once, which is funny, but it wasn't as difficult as you think, except I didn't really have a lot of free time. But yeah, it was still an interesting time. And then I obviously dropped the security stuff, and then I stayed over, and I did deliver pizzas for quite a while. Like I said, I mostly did it at the very end when I had like a decent amount. I was making like a decent amount of money off of YouTube, and I was like, I don't really need to do like this pizza delivering thing. And I was doing it I bought my Golf GTI, which is a terrible car. Horrible car to do deliveries in. I mean, the fuel is terrible on it. And I would just rag it around and drive that GTI like I stole it. Like, it was a brilliant little car, man. I miss that GTI so much. And I've had that for a few years when I was delivering pizzas. And I was like, it was the funniest thing ever, doing it in that. But, yeah, like I said, I enjoyed the people that I was working with there. And then slowly, you know, I backed away. We lost a couple of people. I mean, they just like left to do other things. And I think as soon as I left, it just kind of fell apart. The original staff just went. Like after I left, I think within like a year, the original staff just went off and did their own thing. I mean, the one of the managers that I was working with, they got promoted and went to other things. But again, like I said, if I was there today, or if I went back today, completely different staff, and it's just not gonna be the exact same if I go back and I start doing the same thing. But like I said, it was just nice to have like a good people to be surrounded with, if that makes sense. But that's pretty much how it went. And then now I'm just full-time content creator, full-time doing YouTube and stuff like that, where it's interesting, to say the least. It's very, very interesting. I have a lot of free time on my hands. I try to fill it up with as much stuff that I can possibly do. But at the same time, it's so much easier than just working an actual job, honestly. Sometimes it's nice to work an actual job because you have the security of it. So like on YouTube, for example, if I do like a stinker of a video and it doesn't get many views or stuff like that, I mean, I'm kind of just cooked for that day. Like I'm barely making money on that day. But if you go in and you have your 9-to-5 job and stuff like that, you're guaranteed that you'll be making that same amount of money every single day. You know what I mean? So it's something a little bit different to think about. So being a content creator is cool and all, and you have the freedom to do whatever you want. But if you're a stinker, if you're not doing too well over the next few months, then you're definitely gonna notice it in your income. But if you're doing the same thing on an actual job where you're hired by people, it's gonna be a little bit different there. Anyway, I feel like I've dragged this video out a bit too much. Hopefully you guys enjoyed today's video. Thank you for watching. Q&A. Yeah, let me know if you want to see any more of these. Like I said, in the future, I'm gonna let you guys load up the Q&A page for the next while. I don't know how long it's gonna be, but maybe the next few months, and then I'll probably make another one. Let's say like next year, like the start of next year or something like that. I don't know. We'll see. But that's it. Thank you for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.